Welcome to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. As always, thank you for joining us for another terrific edition of this show. Before we get into this week's tip, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. What's on tap for this week? Well, I'm sorry. I don't know if it'll be, I really apologize. In fact, we're going to teach you to stop saying I'm sorry at work. Now, that doesn't mean don't apologize, because there are certain things you want to apologize for. But we want to stop saying I'm sorry at work, which can lead to us looking weak in other people's eyes. And there's appropriate times to apologize for things when you do offend someone or do something wrong, but there are other times when we say I'm sorry when we don't really mean I'm sorry, we're just saying it because we're just trained to do it. So let's jump into a few tips from Ashton Jackson, who has a great article on stop saying I'm sorry at work, which can make you look weak. Try these phrases instead. So let's try some of the phrases that Ashton has for us as well. Tip number one, and we've all been there. We're at work, big presentations coming on, whether it's live in person or on Zoom or some kind of conference call, and everything breaks. The internet's not working, you're not able to get your WebEx or your Zoom or whatever to work, the presentation, PowerPoint isn't going there, you're not syncing the computer, and that technology glitch is just killing you. So what do you say? I'm sorry. I feel compelled to apologize for something that's really not my fault. It's a technology issue, not necessarily my issue. So instead of saying I'm sorry at that point, one of the things you can say is thank you for your patience. Thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate your patience. Any of those things will help them out. But remember to say thank you for working with me as I get through this challenge, because you're not really sorry per se because it's not your fault that it happened, but you're looking to fix it. So think about that when you're experiencing technical difficulties. Tip number two, you need to join a conversation. People are talking and you want to say, hey, I'm sorry, but I'd like to weigh in here. Are you really sorry about weighing in? No, you want to weigh in. You want to talk to that person. But you have this ability to say, I'm sorry, for no reason, because there's no reason to apologize. You want to give your opinion. So if you're comfortable with adding yourself to a conversation, you could say something like, hey, I'd like to give my opinion here, or I'd love to add, or here's a different perspective. But you're not apologizing for that perspective, because in fact you really want people to think about that perspective as it may be relevant. So instead of saying, I'm sorry, I'd like to weigh in, or sorry, here's a different thought, just say, I'd like to weigh in on this conversation, or here's a different viewpoint. It'll help you out and position you in a stronger manner as well. Our last tip, if you made an error. So we all make mistakes. I probably made about 300 just before I started making this video. If you make a mistake and someone gives you feedback, you don't have to apologize. You can say, thanks for the feedback, or you could say, I take full responsibility, or I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. How can I improve? All of those are appropriate responses. Now, remember, if you do offend someone, you should absolutely apologize. But if you made a mistake, which we probably all make hundreds a day, don't apologize for every single one. You'll spend your life apologizing all the time. Instead, own it, take responsibility, and ask for feedback on how you can improve as well. That concludes this week's tips for the EQ Video Tip. We hope you enjoyed them. As always, take them and make them yours. And don't apologize for everything, but apologize for the right things when you do wrong someone. Otherwise, make sure you use some of these phrases to help strengthen yourself and be more confident in your life. So that concludes our EQ Video Tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.
Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.